What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 108 of Trail Tales. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I am a thru hiker. I am a peak bagger. I am a huge freaking hiking nerd. And every single week on this podcast, you know what we do. We chat with other thru hikers, other peak baggers, other freaking hiking nerds about their experiences on the trail. IBTAT is back for his third Trail Tales episode ever, which is really, really cool. Now, before we get into the episode here, I gotta give a little apology. This was supposed to come out last week. Obviously, I didn't post an episode last week. It was supposed to come out last week. I teased it on my Instagram. I put up a poll asking for questions for the episode. We got connected, IBTAT and I, and we were having some audio issues. It was on my end. It was my fault. And so we had to reschedule for a week later. That's just when it worked out with the timing and everything. So the episode did not come out on time. I usually don't tease these on my Instagram either, but I'm going to try to start doing more of that. And of course, the one time I do, it falls through. So I'm really, really sorry about that. In addition, because I ended up waiting a week later, like after I posted that Instagram poll, I guess the app doesn't let you go back and listen or and look at the questions that everybody submitted. So I know I suck. I didn't actually get to ask any of the questions that people submitted, which there was quite a few of, and they were a bunch of really good questions too. So I really, really dropped the ball on that one. I'm sorry, but we still made it work. IBTAT and I still had a good chat. We talk about his upcoming CDT hike. We talk about what it's like to work at mountain crossings on the Appalachian Trail. And it was really super amazingly fun, and I'm very grateful for IBTAT coming back on for a third time. Really, really awesome. Super, super stoked. You're gonna enjoy it. Real quick, before we get into it, I just want to say, for those of you who don't know IBTAT, he's probably like one of the only hikers that has a YouTube channel that swears even more than I do. So you're probably used to swearing if you listen to the show a lot, but this might not be the one to listen, you know, with your kids, I guess. Although honestly, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad, but I just want to give that little disclaimer there. Also, if you like the show, you want to help support the show, go check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Kyle Hates Hiking. I know I have a Trail Tales Patreon too, but I think I'm going to start plugging the Kyle Hates Hiking one more. I should probably consolidate those. I'm working on that. So yeah, patreon.com/Kyle Hates Hiking if you want to help support this content. That would really, really mean a lot to me. I've done this intro in one take, so I feel like I should just wrap this up here. We'll just do a raw intro. I haven't had any cuts so far. I'm just gonna end up messing up here. So yeah, let's get into it. Episode number 108 of Trail Tales with IBTAT, soon to be CDT class of 2021. Here we go. IBTAT is back in the house for episode number 3 of his. IBTAT, what's up, man? I appreciate you doing this.
What's up, man? I'm surprised you invited me back a third time.
A third time, dude. A third time. No, you're welcome on the show at any point. It's perfect because I swear a lot. I mean, not quite as much as you probably, but I feel like I'm one of the only hikers that has like a following like yours that swears almost as much as you do. So yeah, it's a good fit. I think people know what they're getting themselves into.
Well, here's the thing, Kyle. Most hikers, as you know, talk just like we do, except you don't see that shit on social media, unfortunately. If any of these people that like are bothered by our language goes out on the trail on the AT for any period of time, you'll see 20 people that talk just like us.
Oh yeah. People just don't want to hear it on YouTube, I guess.
All right.
But
it is what it is.
It is what it is, exactly. I mean, I get the comments sometimes because I swear a little bit in my videos, although I bleep them out, unlike you. And I still don't swear quite as much as you, but I swear more than the average hiking YouTuber, that's for sure. And so I get the comments every now and then. So I can only imagine what you must get on like every fucking video, people just complaining about the language and all this and that. But it's so true what you just said, like hikers just talk like that. I don't know, we're not gonna lie to people and not be what we are just because people are like, oh, I don't want to hear swearing or whatever. So fuck yeah, let's do it.
It doesn't bother me as much as it used to, the comments, but what does bother me about it is like I try my damnedest to bring the trail as accurate it is to people on YouTube, and my language kind of takes over, and that's like the star of the show almost to
Yeah.
some people.
Hmm.
Which the trail is the star of the show, but some people are just they hone in on my language and that's all they care about. So whatever.
Yeah, yeah, I can see how that could kind of be obnoxious. That's something I haven't really experienced yet with my videos. Um, but I definitely get some weird comments. I've been doing this thing where I don't know if you've ever. I feel like I've seen you maybe every now and then do this. Some people do this, but
Uh-huh.
I'll put like screenshots of like the weirdest and like most absurd comments I get up on my Instagram story. So everybody should go follow me, by the way, if you haven't followed me already, at Kyle Hates Hiking. But people seem to love, like, they just love the weird ass comments, because most of the like troll comments and stuff kind of get buried, and so most people don't see
Right.
them. But like when I put it up on my Instagram story, people seem to love that. I don't know. Have you ever gotten any like response when people write those ridiculous comments, like being
So
offended or whatever?
yeah, I don't have as many trolls as I used to. I mean, I'm sure they're there, but they don't comment as much as they used to because I have called them out by name over the last year or so. So I always warn people, if you want to talk shit on my YouTube channel, that's fine, but expect me to call you out by name on a video at some point. Hashtag I love Jennifer Appleton. That bitch. Oh my God.
Oh my god,
So
is that the one?
I don't know
I
if you're
think you
familiar.
said that in the. You said something about her in the CDT video you
So
made.
she on my PCT video, she commented on damn near all of them, how much she hated me, and I'm like this vulgar asshole. Yeah, you'd see her comments in every video. I'm like, if I'm that such of an asshole, why are you watching every video? So it
Yeah.
became pretty funny, and most of my followers know who Jennifer Appleton is now.
That's so funny. That's so true. I don't know if I've never had somebody who comments on like every video or like a lot of them, but I have seen like sometimes you'll be looking through your YouTube studio or whatever, you can see all the recent comments, and I'll see like a stretch of comments on various videos, like different videos from the same person, all just being like really negative, like talking shit or whatever. I'm like I get it. Like you watch one video, you don't like it, but if you didn't like it, why did you watch like three more and
Exactly.
comment on all of them? It's like, I don't know. There's some weird ass people on the internet.
Nobody forced you to hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, but YouTube does sometimes force the videos on their home screen, so maybe that's what it is. But that's the thing.
That's
If you
it.
watch a video and then you comment on it, YouTube doesn't know if you liked it or not. They just know that you engage with it, so they're going to show you more videos from that person. So people are
Yeah.
like, "Why is this keep being in my feed?" It's like because you keep clicking on it. That's how it works. That's how we
Yep.
get more views. It's kind of funny. Some people don't seem to understand that.
Yeah, I don't even understand the whole YouTube algorithm either, but I just put out videos.
And you do a good job with them. So let's talk CDT. I feel like that's going to be. I mean, I shouldn't say this because I never know what the fuck we're going to talk about, but I feel like CDT talk, I'm definitely curious about that. I think a lot of your subscribers and viewers are as well. So I'll preface this by saying I would like to hike the CDT someday. I don't know when yet, hopefully sometime in the near future. Probably not for my next long distance one. But I do want to do it, and I've done a little bit of research. I've watched some vlogs and done some of that stuff.
You've probably done more research than I have.
Yeah, but see, you've done some, well, not some. You've done a lot of hiking out west, given you hiked the PCT. So that's like, I feel like that's more of an advantage than all the research in the world. Honestly, maybe not. I've never just been out there before. So hiking in a desert, water carries,
Yeah.
being above tree line with thunderstorms and all that shit is a foreign concept to me, really. So I don't know. I guess I'll just start off with a pretty general question.
Sure.
How are you feeling going into the CDT? What's your start date, or roughly, if you don't want to say the exact date, that's cool. But like,
So well, mid-April sometime. I haven't even picked a start
Okay,
date. It's
okay.
like when I get there kind of thing. I'm flying out like April 12th, I think, and then I'll probably start a few days after that. I really don't know,
mm-hmm.
but mid-April, somewhere around there. I don't
Okay.
want to leave too early because I'm not trying to snowshoe through all of Colorado.
So that's one thing I remember hearing about a little bit. It's like you kind of got to time if you're going northbound, at least you got to. I mean, you always have to time your start date with any through hike, but like, as far as the snow in Colorado goes, it's like if you start too early, this is my understanding of it, anyways.
Uh-huh.
You'll be okay through New Mexico or most of New Mexico, but then once you get like 700 or whatever it is miles in, if you start too early, you could, like, once you get into Colorado or whatever, you could hit some snow. Is that kind of the way it goes? I feel like that's what I've heard.
And it's very similar to the PCT. The little research I have done on the CDT is mainly just catching that weather window, looking at water situations, because that's my main concern. So most people, if you're going northbound, which I am, start mid to late April usually. And then once you get towards the tail end of New Mexico, like Grants, New Mexico is where most hikers send up their snow gear for the San Juans.
Mm-hmm.
So getting your micro spikes and your ice axe up there, and then any extra layering systems you want, warmer sleeping bag, whatever it is. And then you're pushing through the San Juans. A lot of it will be in snow. It just varies year to year. Same with the Sierras in California. So that's the little research I have done was basically just looking at that weather window and what the snow is doing in Colorado.
Why northbound? Because I feel like I feel like I hear a decent amount of people going Sobo on the CDT, probably for that exact reason. Maybe there's other reasons. There's probably other reasons too. I don't know, but
I think I wouldn't say most, but I think a lot of people that have triple crowned, a lot of them do the CDT. They might do the AT and PCT northbound, but a lot of them do the CDT southbound.
That's what I've noticed too.
I've just done northbound the last 2 hikes, and there's something about hiking north. I don't know what is in my head. I don't know. I like finishing up north near Canada is just more epic in my mind than finishing in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my mindset is. I just finishing up north, and the snow might hit you. I just love that whole vibe of north in the late fall. So
yeah.
And I lived in Montana for 4 years, so I've spent a lot of time up there in the Bob Marshall Wilderness and Glacier National Park, and I'm stoked to get up there. I know what the weather does up there. Winter comes early, so just if I get snowed on, I get snowed on. It's no different than what happened on the PCT. So I'm prepared for it at least.
Yeah, if anybody hasn't listened to our last episode, I don't even remember what freaking number it is. It was like over a year ago. I feel like I'm googling it right now. But it is. Oh, here, actually, I got it here. It is episode number 53. So, wow, it's an old one. Christ, I've done a lot of these episodes since then. But anyways, if anybody hasn't heard that episode, number 53, you should go back and listen to it, because if you're not familiar with what happened to IBTAT at the end of the PCT, it's pretty gnarly. Number 22 is our first episode. Wow, that's crazy. You're like one of my earlier guests, too. Sorry, yeah. I'm not trying to go down this rabbit hole of freaking...
No, it's all good.
Trail Tale stuff. But anyways, because this is number 108, I think, or 107, something like that. I'm really on my A game today, folks. Also, there's a helicopter right above my house right now. I'm going to wait for this to pass.
The feds, man, they're coming for you. Did you pay your taxes?
Oh God, no, not yet. I thought they extended it. No, the fact that I actually forgot about this, but I remember you mentioning it now. The fact that you lived up in Montana, I feel like that's going to be it must be a huge advantage for the CDT, right? At least from my perspective, because... I
don't know about that. I don't really have much hiking experience other than day hiking in Montana. When I lived up there, I was a pack guide up in the Bob Marshall Wilderness. So the time I did spend on the CDT up there was on horseback. So, yeah, I guess there's some advantage there, but I didn't do any much like backpacking. Being on a horse,
yeah, but just being, and honestly, the reason I say that is because from my perspective, it's just like a whole environment I'm not comfortable in. I'm not familiar with. Actually, I have been to Montana, but I was just there for a couple days, so it really wasn't much. So even if you haven't done any backpacking there, I don't know. You don't think just being like comfortable and familiar with like the environment there, the animals there, just like the whole vibe there, like you don't think, especially in the Bob Marshall too, where it's like super fucking like gnarly, you don't think that would give you like any advantage at all over someone like me who's just been stuck in Vermont my whole life?
Okay, I guess that, talking about the animal situation, having been up there for 4 years, I did have grizzly encounters, like nothing, like I didn't get charged or anything like that, but spending time down in California and on the East Coast dealing with black bears, that black bears are one thing, but grizzlies are something that you just don't fuck with. And I had a couple encounters up there to where you just need to be smart about it. And, I'm notorious for using my food bag as a pillow, but out in Montana, there's no way in hell I would do that. It's just cooking before you get to camp and hanging your food properly. Just don't be stupid about it, because grizzlies don't give a shit. They will fuck you up,
That's like, I'm not going to lie, that's one of the things that I'm like the most nervous about, because I did a little bit of just day hiking there just for a couple days up in Glacier, And like
Right.
I was nervous as hell about it like the whole time. Basically, I had bear spray. I was being safe. I took precautions, but like it was still
Right.
nerve wracking.
So one thing I did when I was working as a guide, what we used to do is we were the assholes that had Bluetooth speakers on trail. I know a lot of people hate hikers doing that, but for a precautionary thing, I would put a Bluetooth speaker on the back of my saddle on my horse and blare that shit. And if grizzlies hear you coming, generally they'll get the hell out of the way. It's the people that get attacked more times than not are coming up and startling a mother bear that's protecting your cubs. And if you startle a grizzly, yeah, they're going to protect themselves. But if they hear you coming, generally they get the hell out of your way. So, if you're walking down the trail, if you don't want to play music, then just sing to yourself. I used to whistle and sing and just make noise as you're going down the trail.
Oh yeah, dude. You should have. Oh man, you should have heard me. I was in Glacier. I was there for like 5 days, maybe. Didn't backpack, just day hikes. But like the very first like hike that we did, like as soon as we left the parking lot, I forget what it was. One of the like more popular like touristy hikes.
Sure, Avalanche Lake or something like that. Yeah,
it was something. It was a pass. It was something with a P that I can't pronounce. Something pass. It was like goes up to a tunnel. I don't remember. It wasn't that like difficult of a hike, but I just remember there's a decent amount of people on that trail too. Like one of the more popular like day hikes there. And I was still just like, as soon as we started, I was just like, hey bear, hey bear, hey bear. Look back to my friend, like, what's up? Like every fucking 5 seconds, I must have been so obnoxious. Like I'm passing people that weren't even carrying bear spray, like they didn't give a shit, and I was just like being that guy. But we didn't get attacked, so that was good.
Yeah, better than having your face ripped off.
Yeah, I think being in like honestly I shouldn't even think this. It's all in my head probably, but the Bob Marshall wilderness, that like intimidates me a little bit. Being like in prime grizzly country without like the safety and security of being in a national park where there's more people and more resources and stuff, that kind of scares me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna admit it right here. I don't care.
I mean, yeah, that's normal. And I had the same mentality going in the desert in California. I had never hiked through that kind of shit before. It's just unknown territory, and you do it once, and you learn as you go. And by the time you're finished with it, you're a damn near expert. So, I mean, I guess up in the Bob, at least my experience going up there with pack animals and stuff, I've had situations where. So I'll tell you a story. One of my first trips I did, I was the greenhorn, and they gave, as a joke, my coworkers obviously wanted to fuck with me, so they put me on the shittiest horse they could find that would not keep up to the mule pack. So I'm kicking this damn horse like every 5 seconds. And it would slow down, then it would go into a full gallop, and they were just laughing their ass off at me. Well, one time, my horse was tailing behind the mule pack, and I kicked this damn horse as hard as I could, and it went into a full gallop and ran into the rear mule. We had like 12 mules, a string of 12 mules. My horse ran into the rear mule, and this mule reared back and opened my shin up like real deep, and I'm like gushing blood and shit. And my boss is just laughing his ass off. He's like, throw some whiskey on it, pussy, and keep riding. But, at that time, being a greenhorn, I'm out here in the middle of fucking nowhere. There ain't no, buddy coming to save me. It's like you got to know some, survival first aid. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it, but you got to at least be able to take care of yourself out there,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. It's intimidating.
You'll be all right. Get out there. No, it's
I'm not gonna let it stop me, but it's definitely intimidating a little bit. Yeah. I think the other thing, and people who listen to the show a lot are gonna be like, Kyle, we already know this shit, but. The other thing, the grizzly hiking like 700, however many 100 miles it is through grizzly country. That's the first thing about the CDT that makes me nervous. The second thing is lightning in Colorado being way above tree line. And there's other things too, like the sun and shit like that. But those are lower on the list. I think grizzlies and lightning, I guess, two very instinctive. Like obviously everyone's fucking afraid of that shit, but. I don't know, lightning, that's another thing. Have you thought about that, like lightning going through Colorado at all? Or is it just me?
not really. I mean, yeah, being above tree line when the storm is rolling overhead, yeah, that can be sketchy as hell. I guess I really don't know. It's just if you can time out your day that day and the rain's more times than not, there's going to be an afternoon thunderstorm through Colorado. Just try to time out your day to where you're not going up in elevation, right in the afternoon. But that's not always easy to do when you're on a through hike, but. It is what it is. You just deal with it and move on.
I know. That's like, I literally ask every person on this show that's ever hiked in Colorado that same fucking I'm like, what would you do with the lightning? And like, they're always just like, just try to
I've never been to Colorado, so it's all going to be new for me,
Yeah.
Take it as it comes kind of a thing. Same thing. I had never been to California, Oregon, or Washington before. You just take it as it comes and you learn as you go.
That's pretty cool, actually. I've never been to any of those states either, and I've always kind of romanticized the idea of like crossing into a new state for the first time on a thru hike, like in my head a little bit, because I like geography. I like the concept of like borders and these weird geography nerd things. And so like the idea of like crossing into a state for the first time on foot, having walked there from wherever, is kind of cool to me.
That's what's so great about thru hiking. It's one of the best parts. You're just constantly on the move and you're seeing new places every single day. It's one of the greatest parts of thru hiking for me. I absolutely love it. Just pushing north and seeing new shit every day. It's awesome.
Are you looking forward to the fact that the CDT has a few more state crossings compared to the PCT? Because like you hike the AT first, obviously. It's like you're fucking crossing states like every 5 seconds, but then the PCT rather, you just get a couple. So I don't know. I guess the CDT is what, like 4 or 5, something like that.
Yeah, so you're New Mexico, Colorado, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. Yeah. You kind of skirt the border of Idaho and Montana all the way to the border. But yeah, you'll have a few more states in the PCT. I mean, California, you're in California on the PCT for like 1,700 miles. And yes, California, as you're hiking through it, it feels like 3 separate states between the desert, the Sierras and Northern California. But even so, I mean, like, especially coming from the AT, like you said, you're crossing over states pretty frequently, and then being in California for what seems like an eternity, it does fuck with your head. I would say it's like the equivalent of the Virginia blues on the AT, and you're in Virginia most of the time on the AT. In California, like, you're just like, damn, dude, let me move on to a different state.
I wonder.
And it's not like when you.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, I wonder if AT or PCT hikers or people who do the PCT first and then go do the AT, I wonder if they almost have like a not an actual advantage, but just like a slight like mental advantage, just like being used to via the first thru hike, crossing less state borders versus people who hike the AT first and then go do the PCT. They're like, fuck, like I'm stuck in California for how many goddamn miles? I don't know.
I've heard it both ways. Like for me personally, going from the AT to the PCT, I was blown away at like the views you get on the PCT, and the desert's just wide open. Whereas on the AT, you're hiking like 8 miles uphill just to see one view. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're working for those views. It's just a different vibe. And I've heard hikers that do the PCT first and come over to the AT, they're like, that kind of fucks with their head where they're so used to seeing these epic views, but on the AT, you just don't get those every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a different experience. I like hiking in the woods just as much as I do hiking these epic ridge lines. It's just all awesome to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are you most, I'm trying to phrase this. I'm going to sound like an idiot no matter what I say, honestly. So I'm just going to blurt some shit out. But what are you most like, I'll say like nervous or not looking forward to or just negative with, in terms of the CDT coming up? Like anything you're not looking forward to?
Not really. To be honest with you, I'm just stoked to get hiking. I guess the main concern starting off, as I was kind of doing some research, was the water situation in New Mexico. Because I had a couple scares on the PCT in the desert in California. I had heat exhaustion once, and then one time I kind of caught myself. I saw the signs coming on, and that was pretty scary. So if you're not familiar, the Continental Divide, the CDTC, the organization that typically caches water for CDT hikers, the first stretch and the CDT is dry. So there's bear boxes out there. They usually stash water for hikers. Well, they weren't doing it this year because of the whole COVID thing. So that was my main concern.
Wait,
I was looking forward to hiking.
They're not stashing water because of COVID?
Yeah, it's like the whole political bullshit. I don't know. The hikers are going to be out there anyway, so they're like, oh, we're not stashing water for you because they don't want you out on the trail, kind of a thing. At least that's what I think their mindset was.
I see.
Trying to prevent people from getting out on trail. So that was my main concern. But as long as I have water, that's you got to stay alive. So I hiked 26 miles on a tuna packet before. I don't really give a shit about the food, but
you got to have water.
You need water to live. So after that heat exhaustion thing on the PCT, I was worried about the water. But there's a couple local boys down there in Lordsburg, New Mexico, who are going to stash water for us this year just for donations. So that's taken care of.
Nice.
Yeah, but as far as not looking forward to anything, I'm just ready to see it all, man. I'll be able to knock off a few more states that I've never seen before, and I'm stoked to get out there again for sure.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Dude, you're gonna be getting your triple crown. That's fucking awesome. In a very short time period too. So that's wicked impressive. Cause like, I mean, we hiked the AT the same year, and then you're about to finish your shit, and I'm gonna be You're gonna finish it before I even start my next long distance through hike. I'm roughly thinking next year for the PCT, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. No commitments.
Yeah, I mean, originally I had planned on doing back to back to back years, and then the whole COVID thing took place, and so and it was good actually for my body, my mind, just take a year off. Even though now I'm getting antsy as fuck now, but I think after, especially how the PCT ended, I was ready for a break, and it's rejuvenated my whole mindset to get out there and hike again. Whereas if I did it the very next year after the PCT, I might have been like worn down. I don't know,
No, that makes a lot of sense, yeah. And, like, you definitely have to give your body a break. I felt okay after the AT. I wasn't, like, completely destroyed, but I definitely feel like it took a pretty big toll on my body, especially more long-term, maybe. And so I can't imagine doing another long one the next year. I mean, you did it. Like, people do it, but doesn't mean it's fucking easy. It's not at all. So yeah, it's probably best that you gave it at least 1 year of of rest between the second and the third, eh?
Well, I think 1 year was a little too much. I think I would have been good for like, maybe 6 months, and that would have been perfect. But yeah, 1 year towards let's say the last couple months, I just been like, I'll be sitting in a chair and my leg will start twitching. Like I need to get fucking walking. And I work here on the Appalachian Trail, and the first outfitter you come to northbound. And the bubble's coming through right now, and seeing all these through eggers come through is just making it worse for me. It's like, God damn.
Bet. You're like, fuck, I'm going to be out there real soon. That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's it, so I fucked up the Instagram poll and stuff because of the fact that we had to reschedule and stuff, but I remember vaguely there was a number of questions about what it's like to work at mountain crossing. So we'll talk about the CDT more, but I'm honestly curious about that too. Mountain crossings. How long have you been working there exactly?
I got here, 2020. I got here at the end of February in 2020. So
oh, shit. So you've been there a while now, eh?
I've been there over a year now, just over a year, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, so I came to work here because, well, for one, I was sick of being a line cook. I was a line cook for like 10 years. I got sick of doing that, and I wanted to be around the trail. So working at this outfitter, I came here to help out hikers, doing shakedowns and, give me advice on hiking the AT and stuff. So when I got here, I was bracing for the April bubble to come through, and then COVID hit, and then it was like somebody flipped the light switch on the hikers. Nobody was coming through. Mm-hmm. So that was a long fucking year to wait. And now finally the hikers are coming through again. But yeah, it's saved me mentally. I'm up here in the woods. Literally, my front porch is the Appalachian Trail. So having taken a year off, at least I was around the trail and kept some sanity. Whereas if I was in a town all of 2020, I would have went batshit crazy, with that in a couple months.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Are you doing what are you doing there? Like as far as the job?
During the summer months, like one of the most popular day hikes, I'm at the base of Blood Mountain. That's one of the most popular day hikes on the AT, and the AT literally goes right over it. So it's mainly just day hikers and tourists coming up, which is a pain in the ass. I hate all those fucking people. They're all annoying as shit. Hey, do you sell that shirt that says I hike the width of the AT? Yeah, fuck off with that shit. I'm tired of seeing it. But now that through hikers are coming through, that's my jam, and I see the look in their eyes, the same look I had like 3 years ago before I did the AT. They're all fresh, they're all green, they're all new, and it's like they're stoked. And for me to be able to give them advice on like the real deal shit, not the stuff you read bullshit on the internet, like real deal.
Are you doing like shakedowns and shit?
Shakedowns, nice. Yep, selling gear, all that stuff. So, yeah, I get excited about that stuff.
That's pretty dope. Yeah, I remember somebody asked about somebody asked if you could just share any like ridiculous like shakedown, like while you were giving somebody a shakedown at mountain crossing story, and it's like. I'm not trying to just like shit on like beginner hikers because like obviously like people like you don't know what you're doing. Once. It's like exactly. So I'm not asking this from like like stupid people perspective. But we could still appreciate like beginners like making dumb mistakes or having weird ass gear or anything. So do you have any stories like that from giving people shakedowns or just being at like a part of the trail that's like so close to the start with so many people going?
Yeah, the biggest thing I see of hikers coming here is they're carrying way too much food and way too much water. The AT, there's water flowing everywhere. You're never more than like 4 to 5 miles away from water. And people come here carrying like 3 or 4 liters of water. I'm like, that's like 12 pounds on your back that you're carrying that you don't need to be carrying. It's like water weighs a shit ton. So it's usually too much water. And then the food, they think in their heads, I think, and this is what I thought before I thru hike, like, oh, I'm gonna start thru hiking, I'm gonna be eating like 6,000 calories a day. Well, that shit doesn't happen for like 3 weeks
Yeah.
until you get on trail. So they're carrying way too much food, and they're never hungry because they got nerves, or their anxiety's going through the roof, so they're just not hungry. It's more so the food and the water thing, but you do see a lot of the ridiculous gear. People carrying bear cans out here. It's like, you don't need a fucking bear can. I hate carrying that shit through the Sierras. Why the hell would you carry one if you don't need one on the AT? I had this dude in 2020 when I first got here. This kid came in, and he was carrying a full-on crossbow. No bullshit. He had a crossbow and like 3 arrows. And I'm like, dude, what are you carrying that crossbow for? He's like, for protection. I said, well, protection from what? It's the assholes, the other people out there that need protection from your dumb ass carrying a fucking crossbow. And I sat with this kid for like 30 minutes trying to convince him to send it home. He finally did. But I'm like, dude, you're that creepy asshole you see at a shelter, like waving a fucking crossbow or a cutlass around. Like, we don't want your ass out there carrying that shit. So
that's exactly what I think people were looking for when they asked that question.
I mean, the AT brings a lot more weirdos, I would say, than most of these other trails, at least with the PCT. You don't see as many of these weird ass people out there. You still see weirdos, but the AT seems to draw the weirdest ones of all,
Interesting. We'll see if you hold to that after you do the CDT. Although I have a feeling you're probably, I can't imagine there's more like weirdos on the CDT, given there's just less people.
I mean, they're out there. You just don't see them all, I guess, on the PCT. You see them all. The AT is so congested with hikers in early spring that you see them all.
Yeah, that's true. It must be kind of overwhelming too, with like that many people rushing through mountain crossings. Although I guess maybe because of last year, it might be kind of refreshing this year to see more people finally coming through. What do you think?
And I was kind of curious what was going to happen this year because, typically the bubble by late March, early April is the big bubble on the AT. And I was kind of thinking in my head, well, all the folks that had planned on their 2020 hike that had to get off trail due to COVID, are they all going to be hiking on top of the normal people that were going to hike in 2021? Is it going to be just a shit show? And I would say it's been a normal year so far. I've noticed over the last couple of years that hikers seem to be starting earlier and earlier. I think they're just trying to avoid that huge bubble in April.
Mm-hmm.
But we had some crazy fuckers come through January 1st to start this year.
Oh, geez.
And it's like, a lot of folks that started late February, the Smokies got drilled not too long ago with snow, and they were like post-hauling through the Smokies. So, yeah, fuck all that noise. That's why I left in April. I'll deal with the crowds and not deal with the cold-ass weather.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm the same way, honestly. Of course I left fucking really late, but if I could have left earlier, I probably would have. Let's see. That's crazy. Working at mountain crossings. I'm like, part of me thinks part of me is a little bit jealous, but part of me also would probably just, I don't know. Do you get recognized from videos a lot there, working there?
Yeah, quite outside daily now. Most people have, all these hikers, YouTube has become such a thing for these hikers becoming whatever fucking celebrities, I don't know what you want to call it, but when they do research for their hike, that's what they watch us on YouTube that have done it previous years. So, IBTAT, blah, blah, can you say your catchphrase? It gets kind of annoying after a while, but I get it. Because I was the same way when I was researching my thru hike at the AT. I watched vloggers, and I looked at them the same way that some people look at me now. It's like whatever.
That's interesting, yeah. I've only been recognized like a handful of times, but obviously I don't fucking live and work on the AT. That's pretty funny. They make you say your catchphrase. I could see how that could get a little bit old.
Yeah, that gets kind of old, but I do it. It's cool.
You can't blame them at the end of the day.
No, you can't. And I do like hearing. I've had probably a dozen people come through the shop this spring that said to me, "I'm the reason I gave them the inspiration to get out and hike this year." So I mean, that's fucking awesome. That's why. Big reason why I do YouTube is to get more people out on the trail because it saved my fucking ass when I was drinking every damn day. So being able to inspire people to get out and hike and quit the 9 to 5 is awesome.
Yeah, that is really awesome, man. They're probably gonna be missing you then once you finally take off for the CDT because mid-April, that's like you just said, that's prime thru hiker season. That's when all the thru hikers are coming through.
Oh, I think I'll see most of them because the big bubble comes through. First week of April is usually the big one. I'm flying out April 12th, so I think I catch most of them by the time I leave. There's always those late stragglers, late mm-hmm. April, early May, but I think I've seen most of them by then.
Oh well. Let's see. CDT talk. So I kind
Sure.
of asked you what you were more, or what you're, I guess, what did I say, most nervous or not looking forward to?
Right.
Which sounds like there's not much, which is dope, and honestly, I'm not surprised. Having gotten to know you a little bit here. How about what you're most excited for, or is it just excited to leave? But are there any specific things? I guess is kind of what I'm getting at
Yeah.
here.
So yeah, seeing the new states I haven't seen before. New Mexico. I've never been in New Mexico before, and it just looks dope as fuck. I just like. I wouldn't say I'm a desert dweller, but hiking through the desert in California, I actually dug that whole stretch. Even though it's hot as fuck, I'm just looking forward to those desert skies again. So that's a big one. And then obviously the Colorados, that sort of elevation for that amount of time being up there. I'm looking forward to that. Some of those views up there.
Hmm.
And then just getting back to Montana, where I was like, 5, 6 years ago. Just getting back to Montana again is going to be awesome.
Have you been back to Montana since you like moved out?
I haven't. Nope, I haven't been back there. So it's going to be seeing some of those landmarks that I saw on horseback like 5, 6 years ago. I'm looking forward to seeing that again for
Yeah,
sure.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I feel like I don't know how nostalgic of a person you are, but for me anyways, I'm pretty nostalgic about shit. So that would be really cool for me to be able to experience a place that I used to live through the context of a hike after being gone for a while. That sounds really cool, honestly.
Yeah, and more so for me, these long hikes. Not having done two now, it's like the thing I look most forward to is just being out there. That's like the greatest thing of all time. Is just as soon as I remember when I hitting that southern terminus, when I stood foot on that southern terminus on the PCT, it's like I just gave out this huge sigh, and it was just like a sense of relief knowing that for the next 6 months, I don't have a single fucking person telling me what to do. I wake up when I want, I go to bed when I want, I hike as many miles as I want. This is all on me for 6 months,
Hmm.
and that's the greatest part of through hiking. It's the freedom of being out there for an extended period of time that I love the most about these long trails. So.
That's awesome. Is there anything that you can think of that you're going to be doing differently on the CDT versus the PCT? Obviously, they're different trails, so some things are going to be different. But I don't know if there's just anything you learned, during your time hiking through the desert or just hiking West Coast style.
Get,
That you'll.
getting to Canada before it snows on my
Oh,
ass.
okay, that makes sense.
that would be nice. Yeah, that last stretch on the PCD, I don't want to relive that again. And then in the desert sections, drink more water. I made the mistake of getting heat exhaustion and not drinking enough water through those open exposed stretches in the desert. So I'm gonna try to force myself to drink more water this year, and hopefully that whole heat exhaustion thing doesn't happen.
Hmm. So are you going to
But
try to I don't know, hike at a little bit faster of a pace this time?
I won't say faster. I mean, you got your body's gonna crap out on you. And I got a fragile ankle, that gave me shit on the PCT when I was trying to push those bigger miles.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm not gonna stress about it. If I get to Canada late, I get there late. It's like whatever. But I took probably a few too many zeros living it up in town in 2019 that I could probably go for a Nero or just 1 0 and
Uh
not like become the mayor of a certain town for
huh.
having been there so long. That way, even if my ankle craps out, I'm a little ahead of the game. But we'll see. Just take it as it comes.
Yeah. I mean that's all you can do really. I remember in the CDT like announcement video that you made, you
Hmm.
said you didn't want to talk like too much about gear. You got a bunch of questions about gear or whatever, but like you got to know like people are going to ask about it. And honestly, I'm kind of curious about it too as someone who aspires to do this trail someday. So, have
Yeah.
you made any like major gear changes or anything worth talking about there?
Not really. It's mainly the same setup. Just I had to rebuy stuff that crapped out the last 2 years. I found that after I switched to a quilt, I started the YouTube with a quilt, but before that, when I started backpacking, going from a mummy bag to a quilt, I'll never go back to another sleeping bag. So I just upgraded my quilt to a new one this year. My stove cooking setup's all the same. The only thing that might be different is my tent setup this year. On the AT, I carried the duplex for up till Duncan, PA, thinking it crapped out on me. And then the PCT, I carried the HMG Durago 2. I love both tents, but they're both great for certain different weather scenarios. I found. So I think I'm going to do like a 2 tent system this year on the CDT, and I'm going to start with the duplex, and then once I get like if I hit snow, and then maybe shift the Durago up because that thing did a little better in winds and snow. So we'll kind of play that by ear, but
Mm.
I would say the most part it's all basically the same gear I've been carrying the last 2 years, just upgraded stuff.
Interesting. Interesting. Are you? Is it the same exact duplex, or do you have a new one since then?
No, I had to buy a new one because I mean, like I said, my duplex I carried on the AT crapped out around Virginia.
Oh, okay, okay. I was gonna say like
And
that's a lot of miles for just one like
no, no,
free
no, no.
one trekking pole tent.
I bought a new one. I will say what I love most about that duplex is just the roominess in it. It's like a 2 bedroom apartment, and the Durgo is a little more cramped, but it's more durable. I would say. I wish they could combine the two temps. I mean, I'm like the least weight conscious motherfucker you'll ever meet on the trail. It's not like I'm carrying like 50 pounds, but I carry 8 pounds of camera gear. So it's not like
Eight
I'm
pounds?
too. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about base weight. you know.
Yeah.
But because I carry all that camera gear, I have to be somewhat conscious of the weight I'm carrying. So the duplex being a little bit lighter, that kind of stuff does factor in. But I don't give a shit. If I can carry it, I'm gonna carry it. It's like if I should do less miles, so be it.
Hmm.
Your body gets more in shape. At least mine does, and I don't mind carrying the weight over time. Just those first like a couple hundred miles that your body's like, hey asshole, you're carrying an iPad on your back. What the fuck are you doing?
Okay, so 8 pounds worth of camera gear. I kind of want to talk about this a little bit because I'm trying to think on my Northville Placid Trail hike, which was obviously not the same as the PCT or the AT, but that's the longest hike I've done like with my camera setup.
Hmm.
And so I was like really trying to save weight there. I think I probably carried 3 pounds, including all the batteries, the camera, the lens. I had a Canon EOS R, so big full frame camera. It wasn't like I just had a little point and shoot or whatever. So I think 3 pounds total. I think I had I had a little tripod too. But so 8 pounds, that seems like a lot to me. What do you carry as far as your camera gear setup?
So
I'm a camera nerd, so
torn.
I love to hear about this stuff.
I'm a camera nerd too, and I've become one over the past year, and it's a sickening habit to get into,
It
especially if
is.
you're a long distance hiker.
It's an expensive habit, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I've been torn on what I'm actually going to carry. If I was to carry all the gear that I want to carry, it comes in around 8 pounds. So my main setup I used on the PCT was I used a Sony A7 III with a 16 to 35 millimeter wide angle zoom lens. That setup alone, just with that body and that lens, weighs about 3 pounds. But then you start looking at other lenses, and I found myself on the PCT. Yes, I got enough photos with that wide angle, and you get creative with that thing. But I found myself wanting to zoom out on some of this stuff, especially those wide open views. You want to be able to zoom in on shit every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a 70 to 200, which I really want to carry, and then I also bought a drone, and then I went down that rabbit hole of astrophotography and bought a lens dedicated just for Milky Way. So with all those lenses and that drone, it weighs about 8 pounds with all the chargers and batteries and shit. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with all this stuff and see how it goes. I might ship stuff home and ship other lenses ahead for different stretches. We'll kind of play it by ear, but it's a lot of fucking weight. But my passion has become landscape photography over the last year. And I'm willing to carry that shit. It's my luxury item. So if it makes me happy and it makes my experience more enjoyable, then I'm willing to carry that shit,
Oh, I feel that for sure. I just think, wait, did I hear you correct? Are there 2 or 3 lenses for the camera?
So the one camera that lives on my lens 90% of the day is the 16 to 35 wide angle zoom. And then I have a 70 to 200 and then a 20 millimeter 1.8 for astrophotography. So 3 lenses.
Mm-hmm. Damn, dude,
plus the
that's
drone.
Crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not knocking it, but that's just crazy.
Now you knock it all out. People think I'm fucking nuts, which is fine. I see some asshole carrying a crossbow, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah,
when he looks at
true.
me and says, "What the fuck are you doing carrying 8 pounds of camera gear?
Yeah.
You're stupid." So
that's true. At least you're getting something out of it, though. At least, or you're other people are getting something out of it, for that matter. It makes sense. That's crazy. And honestly, you brought up a good point there that I think is something that anybody who is aspiring to do a thru hike, because if you've already done one, you probably realize this already, but if you're aspiring to do a thru hike, a long one that is, you should definitely be willing to be flexible with your gear. So IBTAT there said, like, I'm going to start with this, but like I might send it home depending on how I'm feeling. And I think that's a really good attitude to have. Like, you don't want to be like really stubborn with your, you don't want to start with gear and be like, this is what I have for the entire trail. Like, you should definitely be flexible with just about everything, honestly, especially in terms of sending stuff home. Curve. It is. It's
a huge learning curve, and especially if you haven't done any of these long trails before, you learn as you go, and you very rarely do you finish with the same damn gear you started with. It's just everybody's gonna send shit home. You just learn as you go. It's not that when I give these shakedowns to these hikers coming through mountain crossings that I'm a fucking expert. I'm not. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So I tell these hikers, carry it till you don't want to carry it anymore. If you think you need something you haven't been carrying, then pick it up as you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fucking marathon. You're out there for 6 damn months. So it's like, you have plenty of time to learn this shit. Don't stress about gear. That's secondary to me, in my opinion. It's about going out there enjoying yourself. So if you want to, if you need a pillow to sleep, then carry a damn pillow. If you realize you don't need it, then send it home. It's a long time you're out there. Your gear's going to change up.
Yeah, definitely, and I definitely saw some people being a little bit stubborn about it. I mean, it's like we're all a little bit stubborn when it comes to gear at the end of the day. But it's like, especially for your first thru hike, I feel like you should just go into it knowing that you don't know that much. Unless you're like a really experienced backpacker already, maybe you do. But if you're like not very experienced, like just go into it knowing like, hey, I'm just gonna make my best guesses before I start as far as what I need, and then I'll just adjust as I go, because that's
all you can do.
That's all you can do, exactly. Especially on the AT, it's really easy too, just with the access, at the beginning.
Oh damn,
with all
the AT is so damn hiker friendly. It's insane. You're never in. You're away from town like every 3 to 4 days, maybe 5 days if you're going slow. You're in town a lot. I mean, you have the opportunity to go into town a lot, I should say. So yeah, don't stress about the gear. There's plenty of outfitters along this trail that you can pick things up. The PCT is a little bit different, longer stretches. I'm sure the CDT is the same, a little bit longer stretches, but you learn as you go, and the AT is very, very hiker friendly in that regard.
Mm-hmm. So how about the vlog? Or I said the vlog, or your videos, your channel.
Mm-hmm.
Anything differently you're going to be doing for the CDT that you didn't do on your other 2 hikes?
So as far as the frequency, my plan is to still do daily vlogs, the same as I've done the last 2 trails. I think upping all this camera gear this year, I'm going to try to up the scale, I guess you should say. As far as quality goes, I'm going to try to get more shots, different angled shots and different focal lengths, and carrying a drone, I'll be able to get some aerial shots where I'm legal to fly it. I hope in my head anyway, the production value will go up, but it's still going to be just the daily vlogs, me cussing at being the heat and cussing at the rain and cussing at the snow. It's like, I don't hold anything back out there. What you see on my videos is me going through that shit in real time. Aside from the videos being delayed, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't hold back. I say what's on my mind. You might see me cry my eyes out, and you might see me cuss, all fucking day. It's just, I try to bring that real experience of what I'm going through to my videos.
Mm-hmm. Well, dude, I'm really looking forward to it. That's awesome. I mean, I feel like after filming 2 thru hikes, you kind of have it. You can. What am I saying here, Kyle? I feel like you must have it down to a science, at least as much as you possibly can for something like this. I know it's still unpredictable, fucking thru hike shit.
Yeah, I'm no filmmaker. Trust me, I'm ghetto as fuck operations out there. I still don't know what I'm doing really out there. I just learn as I go. I've gotten better over the last couple of years, but I'm still learning. But yeah, the whole like setting up shots and the basic filming during the day, I have like a system that helps me do it easier than it should be. Because these long trails, they're hard enough as is, let alone filming yourself doing it. So I have sort of a system to make it easier on myself as I'm hiking 20, 30 miles a day.
Mm-hmm. The thing that gets me, and we probably talked about this in our other episodes because this still blows my mind, but it's the editing at the end of the day. I feel like I've gotten like kind of lazy when it comes to editing my videos and stuff lately, and I'm not even on a thru hike, so I can't even imagine like just freaking like going to town, like editing at the end of a day of freaking busting my ass and hiking and filming all day. I don't know how you do that shit, man.
I'd say that's the most pain in the ass part about it. The actual filming during the day, I actually enjoy doing it because I'm taking photos, and it's just it slows me down and forces me to enjoy my scenery a little bit more because I'm filming the stuff. But yeah, getting in your tent at night when you're completely fucking exhausted and your ass is chafing and your nutsack's bleeding and your toenails are falling off, and it's like, oh, I just want to sleep, and now I have to sit here and edit a video for an hour. That can be pretty taxing, especially later in the trail. And then getting the town to upload all this shit is always a fucking nightmare. When you see other hikers, stuffing their face at a buffet, and you got to sit in front of, your editing software for 4 hours to upload these videos. That's the shitty part about it, but it's all worth it in the end,
Yeah. Well, it's definitely worth it for the people that get to watch. That's for sure. Dude, I'm jealous, honestly. I want to go for, I don't know if I'm quite ready for the CD. I feel like the PCT is probably a good West Coast start, but I'm definitely,
Either one of them, dude.
I don't know. I'm jealous either way that you're going to be going out there. And I'll get mine shortly. Don't worry. But that's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, get out there, man. You'll love it. The PCT is fucking awesome. Just don't go on a very high snow year. That kind of sucks, but it's a crapshoot on the PCT. You never know what you're going to get as far as the snow and the water levels and all that. But you'll love it. It's fucking awesome. I'll do that trail again in a heartbeat.
So one thing I want to ask you about, since we're talking about the CDT and shit, I heard this. I'm pretty sure this is legit. I think I heard this from like some legit sources. CDT, whatever.
CDTC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that they recognize a thru hike as any like footpath, continuous footsteps, I should say, within the Continental Divide. So it's a little bit different than the AT, where they say they actually want you to like hike the AT itself for its entirety in order to count, or in order for them to recognize it as a thru hike. COVID stuff aside, which that doesn't even matter. They're not even recognizing hikes this year. But have you heard about like the way the CDTC does things a little bit differently in terms of like, okay, they're pretty open about people taking alternates, and it's just different than what I'm used to, honestly, on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I know it's just different out west. So have you thought about that or heard about anything about that?
So yeah, from my understanding, is the same thing. As long as you stay within the Continental Divide corridor, it's considered a thru hike. From my understanding, the CDT, I think, is, everybody looks at it as a choose your own adventure trail. So yeah, there's a million alternates out there, and you take whichever route you want, as long as you're within the Continental Divide corridor. And you go from Mexico to Canada or Canada to Mexico, you're considered a thru hiker. But all these, and even the PCT and the AT, the ATC and the PCTA, it's all voluntary. Like it's honor system. So some asshole wants to send in the ATCs, I thru hike this year. They'll send you a fucking patch and a certificate. It's all an honor system. You'd be an asshole to do that, but it's not like somebody's looking at your YouTube vlog saying, okay, did this asshole cross every white blaze? No, they're not looking at that. But
I just think it's interesting because a lot of people listening know I hate to call myself a purist, but I'm trying to hike the whole trail. If I'm gonna do a long distance hike, I'm not trying to skip anything. Yeah. And so like just this idea of like the trail organization recognizing, I'm not saying I disagree with it. It's just different for me, like recognizing a hike, even though you might not have actually done the entire official quote CDT. Yeah. Like that's just different. And I'm trying to embrace it, honestly, because I know it's just different out there, and I'll go by whatever the trail organization says, but I don't know. It's interesting.
I was a purist on the AT too. I had to see every single white blaze, and I did. I would get dropped off at a road crossing, and I'd backtrack my steps across the road just so I didn't miss that.
Oh man, I wasn't quite that bad. I was
that weird guy on the AT. Now, when you get on the PCT, when you do, you'll find yourself getting a little more lenient with that shit. I mean, I bushwhacked a lot on the PCT all through the Sierras. I say I was on the trail maybe 40% of the time. The trail was buried under snow, so it's like, well, what the fuck? You don't see the trail, so you kind of just check gut hooks and you make sure you're going the right way, and eventually you'll meet up with the trail again. Same with river crossings. There was plenty of times where I went half a mile upstream or downstream trying to find a log to cross. Yeah, I didn't cross where the PCT went, but did I give a shit? Hell no. It was a lot less sketch doing it that way. So I got a lot more lenient about that whole purist thing on the PCT, and I'm sure I will be even more so on the CDT. Safety comes first.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's different. It's just different out there than the AT. I don't know.
Yeah, just the whole different animal.
Definitely. Dude, we're kind of getting towards the end here. I really appreciate you taking the time. I really appreciate you dealing with my shitty technical issues and stuff. And coming on for a third episode. That's fucking awesome, IBTAT. I really appreciate it, man. Is there anything else that we should talk about, or anything else you want to mention before we kind of wrap this up?
Nah, dude. Just if you're planning a thru hike, you listen to me talk about all these gnarly stories or whatever, or what you're scared about. Don't stress about that shit. Just go out there and do it. I was no expert before I started, and you just learn as you go. And yeah, just follow my ass on the CDT this year. I'll be out there mid-April. Videos probably start coming out around May or so, early May, and you can watch my dumb ass on YouTube for 6 months hiking from Mexico to Canada.
Everybody should go subscribe. If you watch my channel, you're probably used to the swearing already, and so you should go subscribe to IBTAT. You're gonna kill it. Dude, don't hang up on me yet, but I really appreciate you doing this, and I appreciate everybody listening too. That's going to be the end of this one before I fumble my words anymore. Take care, everybody. Thank you.